forged among stars.
Hawking Duval is back, and he is almost dead. So we have a lot of things to resolve today. I'm going to take a look here. I think I'm remembering more and more as we go through these sessions. So right now, I'm going to roll to begin a session, and we'll see what happens. Unexpected return of an enemy or a threat. We've already had that one like a million times. So I'm going to roll again. Influential character or faction is introduced or given a new detail. Okay, that one's interesting. That is interesting. I will see what I can do with that. But then it says, go ahead and take 1 momentum. So I'll move it to 6. I will think about that. So Hawking Duval is now at 0 health and 0 spirit. He has just accomplished his task of claiming a mineral sample from the planet Thule that is beneath this ancient starship that had crashed here centuries and centuries or eons and eons ago. We've accomplished all that, but Hawking is half dead. Also, he was able to mark his legacy track last time, which gave him 2 more experience points. We are up to 12 experience points, and we need to get out of this ship, the crashed old derelict, get back to the rover, get back to the Shard of the Sun, and then get back to Lodestar with a brain in a jar. And I can't believe I'm saying some of these words, but I am. Okay, so here's where a few things come into play. Let's go over to move, close this preview. We need to get back to the rover, and I think I can set a course because Hawking has traveled throughout this vessel, and now he knows the way back to the rover. So instead of undertake expedition, I believe this is set a course. So that's what Hawking and Hellhound are going to do. They're going to set a course to get back to the rover. Now, I'm going to just double check to see if anything gives me bonuses to setting a course. I don't think so. Okay. So then we're just going to roll, and we roll plus supply. So supply is +4. So that is helpful. So let's see what happens. So in fiction, Hawking retrieves the mineral sample. Hellhound and he climb back into the ship, into the area that was flooded with water. And now they're just going to get out of here. And so they're going to retrace their steps through the ship. And this is the roll for set a course. No modifiers other than the +4 of supply. Strong hit. This is very good for Hawking. Because if we have to take a suffer move, Hawking may very well die or be maimed or traumatized, something like that. So on a strong hit, let's see what it says. You reach your destination and the situation favors you. Take 1 momentum. And actually, I think I'm going to break it up into 3 places. So that was the ship. Then getting to the rover will be another one. And then getting back to the Shard of the Sun will be another set course. So in fiction, Hellhound and Hawking Duval pick their way back through all those places where they had been before. They pass through the room with the hissing comms, the room with the hazardous waste, down the different corridors, back to the bridge, back down into some of the living areas, all the way back to the vehicle bay where Hawking first entered the derelict. And out of the same crack in the hull, Hawking Duval emerges, and Hellhound is right behind him. And Hawking Duval is freezing cold. He is still wet, and he is shivering, and he gets on his comm. Scout, come in. Hey, Jester, loud and clear. Scout, I'm out of the vessel. I'm heading back to the rover. I'm not alone, but everything is okay. Okay, Jester, whatever you say. He replies, okay, stand by. So Hawking Duval and Hellhound are now on the icy waste. There, with the ship behind them. On the ground lies a remnant that has been shot by Hawking, and a puddle of blood off a little ways at the base of a cliff. So Hawking Duval is going to set another course to get back to the rover, the Outrider, where Scout is waiting. Here's the roll. A weak hit. And I can't spend momentum to fix it. So here's what it says. On a weak hit, you arrive but face a complication. Choose one. Suffer costs and root. Make a suffer move -2 or 2 suffer moves -1. Face a complication at the destination. Envision what you encounter. Oh dear. Okay. So this is really bad. Hawking's health is at 0. His spirit is at 0. If he takes a suffer move on those, I'll have to make a roll. Supply could take a hit, but he has to use supply to set courses. Let's go over here to suffer moves. Let's look at endure harm. When you face physical harm or injury, fatigue, or illness, suffer 1 health. If your health is 0, lose momentum equal to any remaining harm. Then, if your health is 0 or you choose to resist harm, roll plus health or plus iron, which is higher. On a strong hit, choose one. Shake it off. Take a +1 to health. Embrace the pain. Take 1 momentum. On a weak hit, if you are not wounded, lose momentum. Ooh, so this is tough. I mean, harm makes the most sense because he's freezing, because he's wet, and the parka was just wrapped around him on the outside, and his clothes underneath are wet. So let's see. If I do this, it's -2, so that's serious harm. So I will lose 2 momentum. Then I need to roll plus iron, and if I get a strong hit, I'll get a +1 to health or a +1 to momentum. If I get a weak hit, I'll just press on. If I get a miss, I must mark wounded or permanently harmed or roll on the table below. Okay, this is scary. This is very scary. Okay, so I'm going to take -2 momentum. It drops him down to +5. And now I need to roll plus iron and see what happens. Okay, here goes. No modifiers. A weak hit. Again, momentum will not help here. Let's go back to the move. On a weak hit, if you are not wounded, you may lose momentum in exchange for 1 health. Otherwise, press on. Oh, well, I'm going to do that. -1 health, or -1 momentum, and +1 health. Okay, so we got really stymied. We lost some momentum. I think it is just Hawking is freezing to death because the planet is so cold and now he is wet. He's freezing. And in fiction, what that looks like is they had to climb up a sheer cliff face using ropes and ice picks and then trudge a fair distance in hip-deep snow. And Hawking is freezing to death. He has lost some momentum, but he gains a bit of health here at the end. I don't know exactly how that works in fiction, but it allows him just to press on. And Hawking and Hellhound reach the rover, the Outrider, and they enter. So that was a close call. If that would have been a miss, Hawking would have been permanently harmed, or he could have even faced death. So that was very fortunate that I just got a weak hit there and lost some momentum. But we made it to the rover, and how I'm going to picture this is, the rover is there, snow has kind of drifted up around its wheels, and Hawking approaches the door, and he hits a button on the outside, the door opens. Hellhound and him both kind of spill inside of it. Wind is whipping snow inside, and then Hawking hits the button, the door closes, and Scout is there to greet them. Now, Scout is a healer. She recognizes immediately that Hawking needs medical attention. So she is like, oh my gosh, Hawking, here, come here. And she grabs him, and she is going to start treating him. And quickly between Hellhound and Scout, introductions pass quickly between Scout and Hellhound. And Scout can tell that Hellhound is helping Hawking, so she's not really concerned, even though she doesn't know who this person is yet. So Scout is going to treat Hawking. And I don't know how to do this since Scout is not a player character. So we're going to look at some moves. We're going to look at the heal move and see what that says. When you receive medical care or provide treatment. Okay, so we'll look at this here. The first one, receive treatment from someone, not an ally. Roll plus iron. Mend your own wounds. Obtain treatment for a companion. Provide medical care. Well, Scout would be an ally, I would assume. And so they share a bond now, and she is providing him care, so wouldn't that be plus wits? I'm just going to go with that. So she'll roll plus wits, which is 3, and then plus 2 because he is an ally, so that's plus 5. That's a lot, but I think that's how it works. We're going to go with this right now. So here's how I'm going to play this in the fiction. Scout runs in. Hawking, you need help. And she looks to Hellhound. Help me. So they take him and they make him lie down on some cushions that are in the Outrider. And Scout checks his wounds and begins to perform medical care on Hawking. And Hawking, I imagine, is like, "Oh, I'm fine. We need to move along." And Scout is just like, "Oh no, mister, I'm taking care of you right now. Let me check your wounds. I won't take no for an answer." And so Hawking just consents and says, "Yeah, fine. Do what you have to do." So we're going to go over here. And I guess I'll just use Hawking's wits. Now, yeah, I don't know how to do this, so I'm just making this up. I'm going to use Hawking's wits. We'll add plus 2 to it. But this is Scout using medical care on Hawking. And I'll look up the rules later and see if this is right, but I think this will be fine for right now. A strong hit with a match. Holy smokes. Critical success. So let's go back to moves. On a strong hit, the care is helpful. If you or the ally under care are wounded, clear the impact and give 2 health. Otherwise, give or take plus 3 to health. All right, so plus 3 to health. 1, 2, 3. It moves Hawking to a 4. This is excellent. What does the match do? I'm not sure. I know. I'll develop their relationship. Oh, I can't anymore. It's a bond. Oh, that's right. I filled the bar and then they were bonded. What would the match be? How about we check out the oracles and see about a story clue? What do you think? Does that work? Maybe. Let's see. Story clue. Involves a hidden or mysterious person. What about a complication? Natural disaster. No, we're not doing that. We already did an earthquake in season 1. What could that be? What is combat action? Interesting. Would it be make a discovery? I don't think so. Majestic or unusual life forms? No. Okay, I'm just fooling around now. I'm getting off track. I got a match, though. I could just, I guess, add 1 extra health, but I would like to do something with the match because it is a nice mechanic in the game. Just test your relationship. No, that's not right. What do you do if the bar is full? That's an interesting question. Let's see. Okay, I can develop the relationship, but since she's dangerous, I roll plus 2. I just make a basic roll plus 2. And on a miss, nothing happens. On a weak hit, I get some momentum. And on a strong hit, I move her to formidable. And I can take some other benefits. 2 ticks on my legacy bonds, which would be great. So I am going to develop the relationship here. So I just need a plus 2 roll. Let's go back to summary. And I'm just going to roll iron because it has a plus 2 on it already. It's not going to be an iron roll. It's just a test relationship roll. There is no modifier. So let's see what happens. A weak hit, and I can't do anything with momentum, although there's not much here anyway. So what I do here then with a weak hit, I just take plus 2 to momentum. If I would have got a strong hit, some other things would have happened, but a weak hit is fine. So I developed my relationship with Scout even further because now she is tending Hawking's wounds, and they're building up this rapport between each other. Very cool. Okay, so after that happened, we need to set another course and head back to the Shard of the Sun. But again, we know the way now. We have a course, so it should be a lot easier to get back unless I roll a horrible miss. So what Hawking does after Scout treats him, he gets up and he hits the comm. Dancer, come in. Dancer replies, "Yes, Jester." Dancer, I'm back at the Outrider. We're heading your way. We picked up a new passenger, but everything is okay. And Dancer replies, "Understood, Jester. Come home." Now Hawking goes to the controls of the Outrider and he sits down. And I'm going to check assets because, let's see here. because I believe the rover gives him a plus to set course. Yes. Oh, this would have been great before, but I totally forgot it. So if we undertake an expedition or set a course while in the rover, we get a +1. When you finish an expedition in the rover, you may re-roll 1 challenge die. That would have been fantastic before, but I totally forgot about that. But I know now. And so we need to set a course, and we get a +1 modifier. So let's go back here. We're going to set a course, +1 because of the rover, and submit. A strong hit. Excellent. We reach the destination, so we reach the shard of the sun. The situation favors me, and I take 1 momentum, so +7. In the fiction here, I'm imagining Hawking driving the rover past the landmarks that he and Scout had passed before, and he is able to just follow along with their tracks. He's able to avoid some of the broken ice that damaged the Outrider before. They make it back to the shard of the sun, and as they approach, the ramp to the vehicle bay lowers, and Hawking drives the Outrider inside the vehicle bay. The ramp closes behind them, and they are safely and securely back in the shard of the sun. Now we have to resolve a number of things. I'm going to cut some of the boring stuff. So Dancer meets Hellhound. They introduce each other. Nobody has any problems, right now at least, with Hellhound coming along. Hawking explains what happens, tells Dancer and Scout a bit what he encountered in the ship, but I'm going to kind of put that off to the side for a minute, because some of that will be boring and it'll just be a repeat of everything we all know. Although I could just say they eat together and Hawking explains what happened. And so I'm just going to leave that there for right now. I'm going to look at a couple moves, and I'm going to look to see if we can mark progress on something. So I'm going to go back to some of these vows here. Help Lodestar recover a relic from the planet's surface, Thule. I'm going to go ahead and mark progress on that one, because we're back in the shard of the sun. We should only just have to take off, and we will be back to the orbital platform, but we'll see. Bring the mineral sample to Ogre. I think I'm going to mark progress there as well. Because again, all we got to do is now get it to him, and hopefully nothing happens on the way there. But we'll see. We'll see when it happens, I guess. But I think what else, I'm also going to get some of the boring stuff out of the way. Like Hawking probably needs to go to sleep. I don't know how long he was in the derelict in real time. He may need to sleep and just kind of recover a little bit. So I'm going to look at a few moves and see if there is anything we can do here before they go back to Lodestar, just so I'm not missing anything. I'm going to look at Hearten. When you socialize, share intimacy, or find a moment of peace, roll Heart. Actually, this is really good. On a strong hit, your spirit is strengthened. Weak hit, minus some momentum. On a miss, it's pay the price. But since Hawking's spirit is at 0, I think I am going to paint this scene a little bit, that in the shard of the sun, in the mess or the galley of the ship, it is now redone and beautiful on the inside, very comfortable. And Hawking, Dancer, Scout, and now Hellhound sit down to have a meal together. I'm going to double check about the internal refit, and it doesn't look like the internal refit helps us right here. It's when I undertake an expedition, which I need to remember. I can re-roll the dice and gain some momentum and spirit. So I can't do that right now. I just wanted to check. So I'm going to go back to moves, look at Hearten. I'm going to see if I can gain some spirit back, because Hawking was brought to the edge. He saw horrors, he saw gore, he was injured and attacked. He had to do some things he didn't want to do, like shoot a spacer who was just corrupting. He didn't want to do that, but he had to. So he is at 0 spirit. So we're going to try this roll. We're going to roll plus heart. I don't think we have any modifiers, so let's see what happens. A strong hit with a match. Nice. So he gets +2 to spirit. And something else happened. I'm getting in trouble with this, that there's not enough opportunities. Let me look around and see what would open up while he's talking to them. Oh, well, no, I guess he could just develop a relationship with everyone. Yeah, we'll go back and we'll do that. So he is with Dancer. Now he is bonded with her, but we can do as before. And let me see what that was. Right, so I am going to roll, because she is dangerous, I'm going to roll +2 and see if I can deepen our bond with her. And I guess I'm just going to use iron here because it's +2. So we'll see what happens. No modifiers. A weak hit. So that means he gets +2 to momentum, and we don't get to mark anything else. But now I am going to go to Scout. She is dangerous as well, and we share a bond. So I have to do the same thing. So I'm going to roll iron just because it's +2, no modifier. Oh, wow. If I burn all 9 momentum, I can turn it into a strong hit, which would get me some ticks on my legacy bonds. Okay, this is actually really good. So on the strong hit, I get to mark 2 more ticks on legacy bonds. So 1, 2, 1, 2. That gives Hawking another 2 experience points. Oh my gosh, we have 14 experience points that we need to deal with here. And I'm all giddy because I'm a role player, and that means cool new stuff for Hawking. Now, also the rule book says that I now move Scout's bar to formidable, and we have a new aspect to our relationship that is opened up. And Hawking has been getting a lot of these with Scout, and that is quite interesting. I don't know what that means for them exactly, what kind of aspect to their relationship is going to be opened up. I was thinking little sister vibes from Scout because she's kind of funny and acts really youthful, but I'm going to see what kind of aspect to their relationship this could unlock, and I'll roll on some oracles and I'll see if I can think of something, or if I can't, I'll do it off camera and I'll think about something about their relationship and how I keep rolling matches whenever I develop a relationship with Scout. So this is quite interesting. Okay, so let's take a look at some oracles here and roll action and descriptor. So uncover inhabited, and then I'll roll theme and focus, innocence and outpost. How do these affect Hawking's and Scout's relationship? Let's roll a couple more. Coordinate, fellowship, toxic. Well, these don't work right here. So I don't know. I'm going to think about that a little bit. Like I said, I was already kind of setting up little sister vibes for Scout anyway. Okay, so I had to burn the momentum, which takes me to 0, but my reset is 2. So I have 2 momentum. Let me double check some rules. So here we are. We need to leave the planet and go to the space station Lodestar. However, there is a pressing matter at hand, and that is that Hawking Duval has gained 14 experience points. Or, I guess, keeping with fiction, I've gained 14 experience points. Hawking is going to develop either some new skills or be able to enhance some equipment. So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to spend a few of those experience points. Now, I don't like characters just gaining abilities out of thin air. That's why in the first season I had Hawking travel to Lodestar so he was able to get work done on his ship, and I thought that made more sense rather than Hawking just spontaneously having skills or something. But now I think I am going to dive into some fiction. Advancement in the game is quite simple. You can see I've come over to the assets right here, and Hawking already has Symbiote, Diplomat, and Lore Hunter. And what I can do here is I could purchase some of these other abilities underneath the assets he has, or I could gain a new asset, or I could come over here to ship and I could buy some different assets for the ship, or another support vehicle, or scanners, research base, things like that. But let's go back here. And so as I said, I like to give a reason for the advancement in fiction. So I'm going to come down here to add. And here in Roll20, all the assets are listed out. So I can just scroll through this list right here and see what assets are available. This one right here catches my eye. Veteran. So I have established through random rolls during character creation that Hawking Duval claimed the Shard of the Sun through war. And how I'm going to flavor this is that when Hawking Duval was young, he went off to war. His clan and his people sent him off as a soldier. I'm imagining this maybe late teens, early 20s. And he showed some aptitude. So he was apprenticed to a diplomat, because this world has so many orders of people. We have couriers, we have adepts, we have healers. So we have all these orders. So I think they work on an apprenticeship model. So Hawking went off when he was a very young man to war, and he saw combat. He was apprenticed to a diplomat, and now we've also rolled in our truths that they can't sustain huge extended conflicts that last for, years and years and years and decades. So what I'm imagining is that there was 2 or 3 engagements during Hawking's 20s, because I've established that he is 30 or so years old, maybe 33, something like that, in that range. I'm still keeping it vague because I want to be able to add things in his background. Kind of like the old TV shows. This is a little aside, but like the old TV shows, like the original series Star Trek, or certain cop shows, maybe like Chips, you keep a character's background vague so you can add in all kinds of cool stuff. Because if you nail it down, you can't do that. So I'm keeping things vague. So if I need him to be 33, I'll make him 33. If I need him to be 30, I'll make him 30. But here's what I'm going to say about Veteran. He was in at least 2 or 3 engagements, short wars, and he was gone from home for a year, 2 years, 3 years at a time. He would come back for a while, and then another war or another engagement would happen, and he would be sent off again to go fight. And as I mentioned, I think he apprenticed to a diplomat because he showed aptitude. And then in the later conflicts, operated more as a diplomat and a negotiator in the later conflicts as he became more skilled as a diplomat. So I have added Veteran. When you are in a fight, increase your momentum reset by 1. Then if you burn momentum to improve your result, add +1 on your next move. And I think this makes sense, not only because Hawking would have been in a few wars, and that gives him the opportunity to claim the Shard of the Sun as a spoil of war, but we see that Hawking has been in combat a number of times throughout this campaign and these sessions, which initially I didn't really want, but that's something that's been happening. And so I'm going to go ahead and add this. So Hawking is a veteran. He has seen combat. He knows war. And I will now be drawing on this aspect of his character as we move forward. Now, mechanically, that costs 3 points. So I'll subtract 1 right there. And I'll add 3 right there so we can keep track. I want to check out the assets I already have, because buying one of these other special abilities underneath the asset only costs 2. And so obviously I could maximize my experience points if I do something like that. But I want to check them out, although I am thinking about a couple other assets or ship modifications that I would like to get. So first, though, I'm going to look here. I love the symbiote. I really do like the idea that he could have 3 health. That would be great because I add that health whenever I do a move, and I rely on Monarch quite a bit. Diplomat, this one right here looks really good. It improves my chances to make a connection or to sojourn. I like that. Lore Hunter, those are somewhat interesting. Maybe soon, but I don't know about that yet. Veteran has a few that are interesting down here. I like the idea of being able to find a war buddy or recalling battlefield experiences that help gain an advantage or gain ground when he was fighting in the past. I like those, but I think I am going to look at other assets. And one caught my eye, and that is Looper. And just come down here and we'll look at that. When you score a miss on a suffer move, not endure stress, you may loop back a second or two. If you do, lose 2 momentum, reroll any dice, and take +1 momentum on a strong hit. So the flavor of this asset is that you are able to just loop back in time just a couple of seconds. There's been some movies based on this premise. It is really fascinating. Now you might think, how would Hawking Duval gain this ability? And I was thinking about that. So what I'm going to say is that when Hawking cried out to Monarch and asked Monarch for help, Monarch somehow, because of who Monarch is and what kind of being he is, Monarch infused Hawking with this ability to loop back in time just a few seconds. Now, that's not in the rules or anything like that. I am just flavoring it this way because I do want it to make sense in fiction. Now, why Hawking wasn't recalling his veteran past before, we'll just call that whatever. But I had mentioned that he had seen war before, and so we already knew that. Now we just get a mechanical benefit. We also know that Monarch is some type of otherworldly being, and I've been flavoring him as this great being. So I am going to say that when Hawking Duval cried out to Monarch for help, he gave him Looper. And so I'm going to come up here. I have to -3 there. And that leaves us with 8. Let's take a look at the ship really quick. There are possibly a few things that I could buy over here, and I could show you some of them. Engines, upgrade, expanded hold, grappler, heavy cannons, vehicle bay. We already have a vehicle bay workshop, sensor array, research lab, reinforced hull, an AI overseer, a missile array, a med bay. A med bay might be nice since now we have a healer. So I'm going to think about that one. I'm going to throw this away for a second. Or, well, it didn't work. So I'll think about a med bay or something like that. Also, I could buy another support vehicle. Now, the support vehicle would only cost 2, I believe, because I have a vehicle bay. So that lowers the cost from 3, which is nice. Everything else will cost 3. So let me think about that a little bit. Let's go back to assets and take a look here. Okay, so I'm back here at assets, and I think I am really tempted, and I am going to upgrade Monarch. I've been relying on Monarch a lot, and Monarch has now given us Looper, that ability. So I'm going to purchase that. His health is now 3. It doesn't change. Okay, well, his health is now 3. I'm going to have to remember that, which is kind of sad, since I forget everything. All right, so let's -2 up here. And it only costs 2 because I already have that asset. So I have 6 left. Actually, I just noticed something, that once I fill 6 boxes on my legacy discoveries, I get a card called Vanguard, and it's a deed, so I don't have to spend anything for that. It's just once I fill 6 boxes, I can now seek out a safe location in a remote environment, and I can establish a haven there where I can do recovery moves where normally I couldn't if it was just a barren planet. Although I don't want to roll a miss on that. It's pretty bad. Okay, so that didn't cost anything. That's just a deed that I get because I've filled 6 boxes on my legacy track. Actually, I can come up here and we can see that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've filled 6 boxes, so I just get that deed. Now, I have been spending these points. And so how many points have I spent so far? I was at 14. So you're supposed to fill in these boxes to let people know that you've spent them. So 2, 3, that was on Veteran. 3 on Looper. 2 on upgrading Monarch, giving him more power. And I think that's it, right? So I still have 6 points left. However, even though I still have 6 points left, I think I'm going to hold those for a second and try to blend these a little bit more into the story. And I'm trying to get better at this, guys. I really hope you guys are listening and watching and you're enjoying the story here that I'm creating with random rolls, these rules, and Hawking Duval. So like I said, in fiction, I think Hawking, he's been relying a lot on Monarch. He draws from him. Monarch grows in power. His health is now 3. He gives him the ability to loop back in time. We've gained the Vanguard just because we're explorers. And Hawking has seen war. He knows the battlefield. And he is a veteran. So I'm going to hold on to those 6 experience points just to see maybe something's going to happen that will not be good here in the future. And I will have to quickly buy Firebrand. Anyway, this is what we will go with right now because I definitely want to get back into the story. And this was just a little aside, and I would like to see people be able to understand how the game works a little bit better as well with this actual play. And if you want to buy the game Starforged, I have a link below in the description. You can check it out there. Okay, so Hawking returned to the Shard of the Sun. He brought with him Hellhound, who is a spacer engineer, who was sent to destroy the very thing Hawking was sent to retrieve. But she has joined Hawking and forged an alliance because she wanted to live. And he has made a connection with her, and they have developed the relationship a little bit. Dancer, Scout, and Hellhound and Hawking have all enjoyed a meal together where he was able to develop the relationship with them. Still getting a lot of matches whenever I roll relationship with Scout. I think I'm going to go with little sister vibes right now because they've only known each other for a couple weeks or so. But it is a special relationship. And what I'm going to say is when they bonded and they shared their dirt side names, Scout's first name is Oztara. And I think that Hawking is going to start calling her Ozzy. And that's a very affectionate name for her because there's something important about their relationship, and we'll work on that in the future. So Hawking and Scout and Dancer and Hellhound finish the meal that they're having. And Hawking has healed. He has gained some spirit back. And now he needs to get this brain in a jar to Lodestar Station and see what happens with that so he can fulfill some of these vows. Let's take a look at vows. Okay, so help Lodestar recover the relic from the planet's surface. I think that's pretty good. Bring Ogre the mineral sample. I'm going to leave this one here right now because I think he has to reach the station to fill that last box. But I'm going to fill this last box, or second to last box, on Ogres because all he has to do is fly to the station. Now, there might be some complications, but that's all he has to do is get back to the station, hand over the mineral sample, and we should be able to fulfill these 2 vows. Okay, so we need to get these vows resolved and return to Lodestar Station. So we go to moves, and this will be set a course because Hawking knows the way back to the station. So after the meal is finished, Hawking gathers up some of his supplies. He repacks the parkas in the storage room. He has Dancer and Scout show Hellhound where she can sleep. And Hawking Duval goes to the cockpit. He climbs in the very familiar pilot's chair, straps in. He's going to launch the shard of the sun off the planet Thule and head to Lodestar Station. So we are going to roll this, set a course, and we roll plus supply, which is still 4, which is good, but it is down a little bit. So hopefully we get a strong hit and we'll be able to get back to Lodestar Station, no problem. A strong hit. Very good. So on a strong hit, you reach your destination. The situation favors you. Take 1 momentum. That's nice. We get a little momentum. We're only at 3 because we blew it all before. So this is how I imagine the fiction here. Hawking straps in. He has his handles and his foot pedal, and he fires up the shard of the sun. The shard of the sun rises off the surface of Thule. Hawking works his controls and soars through the atmosphere and leaves the planet Thule far behind, although he must one day return. He slips the shard of the sun into a low orbit, then locates the station Lodestar, this orbital platform that is gorgeous and beautiful and designed to perfection. And Hawking Duval sees it. He sets his controls to an approach vector, and he reaches up, grabs his comm, and he hits it, shard of the sun, to Lodestar Station. Request permission to dock. He releases the handle, and he waits for the response, but there is only static. Hawking thinks for a second, maybe it didn't transmit. Let's try again. Shard of the sun to Lodestar Station. Permission to dock. Only static. This concerns Hawking greatly. Maybe the controller's on break. Unlikely. Hawking tries again. Shard of the sun to Lodestar Station. Please respond. Requesting permission to dock. Only static. Hawking hangs the handset of the comm up above in its cradle, adjusts the ship's controls, and he flies close by Lodestar Station. And as he does, the docking bay from which the shard of the sun had been docked previously, the doors open. Hawking notices, and he thinks to himself, maybe they're receiving transmissions, but they're not transmitting. That could happen. So Hawking adjusts the shard of the sun and flies into the landing bay. He initiates the landing cycle and sets the craft down, and he checks his rear cameras and view screens and notices that the door is closing. Seems quite normal. He shuts the power down. He hops up out of the command and pilot chair, walks back into the ship. The others are in the mess, maybe playing a game, and he tells them, we just need to turn over this item, and then we can get back to our business. Dancer and Scout nod, but Hellhound looks a little concerned, and she says, may I speak with you, Jester? Hawking says, of course. So they step maybe just back into the cockpit, and Hellhound says, remember, you promised not to let them know, so my reputation wouldn't be ruined, because I was supposed to destroy that thing, but I'm going to let you have it. Hawking says, that's what I agreed to. I intend on keeping my word. Then Hellhound replies, I can't go out there. They can't see me. Hawking thinks, and he recognizes that she's right. So he responds to her, okay, just stay on board, lay low, don't go near a window, and I won't tell them you're in here. Hellhound nods and says, thank you. I'm going to develop their relationship because Hellhound was kind of testing Hawking's word. She was doubting him, but I'm going to go ahead and develop that because Hawking is going to keep his word. Okay, so Hawking then leaves the cockpit with Hellhound. They come back to the others, and Hawking just says, only I have to go. You all can stay here. I'm going to take this thing to them and see what happens. So Hawking takes the brain in the jar and the mineral sample. He exits the shard of the sun, and he walks down the landing ramp, and he turns and he hits the switch. The landing ramp retracts, and he turns around. As he does, he notices from a corridor inside the station, several people enter the landing bay. Hawking Duval steels himself for what may come next. So a number of things happen here. I'm going to resolve a few things in fiction really quickly. So Hawking sees these people arrive, and he says, "Gentlemen, I see we are eager to meet me." Vagabond is noticeably strained, and he says, "Yes, Jester, we needed to meet you. These," and he looks at the shrouded figures, "are our guests." The leader of these shrouded figures steps forward and slightly bows to Hawking. Hawking bows in kind to show respect. And then Blackbird is like, "Do you have it?" And Hawking takes the pack off his back, and he shows him the brain in the jar. So Blackbird comes forward and takes it from Hawking. Ogre says, "And you have something that is mine, right, Jester?" That accent's terrible. I am so sorry, guys. It's just because I'm nervous. I do this better when I GM in person. Hawking says, "Yes, here's your mineral sample." He pulls out the mineral sample and he hands it to Ogre. So really quickly, I'm going to resolve a few things here. I think reaching the station should have been a milestone for all of these vows. For those who are listening, on the screen you can see it. So I think Hawking Duval has just fulfilled 3 iron vows in one go. Now he has freed Scout from her captivity. So let's go ahead and fulfill that one. He got a strong hit, and I will see what that means up here. We'll go back to moves, and we'll come down to fulfill your vow. On a strong hit, mark a reward on your quest's legacy track per the vow's rank. So troublesome, I get 1 tick on my quest's legacy track. Come back to vows, and then let's look at this one for Ogre. So we were to bring him a mineral sample from the planet of Thule. We have done so. We're going to roll fulfill. It was formidable. We got a strong hit. So now I get to make tick mark. So we'll look formidable. We get 1 box. So we get a whole box here, and we'll just mark that other tick. So if you've noticed, Hawking just received 2 more experience points. Brings our total back up to 8. Then we will head back to vows. Help Lodestar recover a relic from the planet's surface. So he has just done that. So we're going to go fulfill. And we got a strong hit on that one as well. That one was formidable. So we can just go right to legacies, mark a full box. I'll put that tick back there. And Hawking just got 2 more experience points for a total of 10. I'm going to come back over here to vows, and I'm going to clean this up a bit. I'm going to modify, and I am going to trash these. Done. I am going to say he reached a milestone with his background vow, just for 1 more tick, because if I ever complete this background vow, it will be amazing. So I'm just going to give him a tick there. But now something happens. Something that Hawking was not expecting. When Blackbird takes the brain in the jar and steps back, the shrouded leader of these individuals who are standing next to the administrators of Lodestar, he says, "We represent the Radiant Wraiths, and we cannot allow you to possess that item. Vagabond, visibly stressed, replies, "This is not your concern. We can do as we wish. We will not bow the knee to you." And the shrouded figure says, "Then we must take it by force." The whole atmosphere in the room changes. Ogre, Blackbird, Vagabond, the shrouded figures, and of course Hawking as well. And Hawking, being a diplomat, reaches out his hands and he says, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Please, hold on. This doesn't have to come to violence. I am a diplomat. I can help you find a solution." They all look at him, Vagabond and Blackbird, expectantly. The shrouded figures are harder to read. Ogre has a thin smile on his lips, a wicked, evil smile. But Hawking has said his piece, and he means it, that he is willing and able to help these people resolve this dispute without further bloodshed. Ogre speaks up, and Ogre, of course we know Ogre is a diplomat as well, but Ogre speaks up, and he says, "Oh, Jester," this accent thing, "Jester, that is very kind of you. Perhaps they will accept an iron vow to resolve this dispute, for we do not wish armed conflict." Hawking nods. He kind of wonders why Ogre hasn't sworn a vow to them. Perhaps he thinks it's because Ogre's a member of Lodestar, and they wouldn't accept him as an honest broker. Hawking is not a part of Lodestar, and he can be impartial. So that's what Hawking thinks. So Hawking looks over, and actually he's just going to say that. He's going to say to the shrouded figures, "Even though I have fulfilled a mission for Lodestar, I'm not a member of Lodestar. I will be an impartial mediator between you two." And the shrouded figure contemplates Hawking for a second, and then says, yes, if you swear an iron vow to us to settle this dispute, we will abide by the terms." Hawking feels confident that he is going to avert a crisis here. So we are going to look at our asset of diplomat. When we swear an iron vow to negotiate an agreement, we get to add 1 to it. And on a strong hit, we will get to mark progress and some different things like that. So we're going to come over here. We are going to create an iron vow. Now, I am going to make this formidable because Hawking wasn't let in on a piece of information. And Hawking reaches to his coat where the sun symbol is pinned, and he reaches on the backside and feels the cold iron of the Exodus ship, and he says, "I swear by the iron that brought us to the forge that I will help you resolve your dispute." He'll be rolling with heart. He is making this vow to a connection, actually 3 connections, Vagabond, Blackbird, and Ogre. So he gets a +1 for that. It'd be cheap to get 3 pluses, I think. But then he also gets a plus for being a diplomat. So he'll have +2 on top of his heart. So let's roll. +2. Strong hit. Very nice. You are emboldened, and it's clear what you must do next. Take 2 momentum. So Hawking is pleased. He knows what to do next. I'm going to develop his relationship with Vagabond and Blackbird and Ogre because he just swore a vow to them. But however, not all is as it seems. Once Hawking swears his iron vow, the shrouded figure says, "Excellent. You are very brave. You will face our champion in combat." Hawking reels back. "What do you mean? I'm going to negotiate a settlement." And the shrouded, radiant wraith figure says, "Yes, all of our disputes are settled by formal duels." And Ogre's wicked little smile turns into a soft chuckle. And Hawking Duval knows he has gotten more than he bargained for. So we'll end the session there. We'll do an end session move. We'll check that out. Any developed relationships, I did that quite a bit. If we've reached a milestone, we haven't really. We'll just take +1 momentum, and we'll begin there in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to Forged Among Stars.